Hello, all you seed members or possible followers of the sorceress. My name is Dalton, and is joining me, as always, is my good buddy,
This is Ryan.
and this is the Steam Machine Podcast. And this week we are covering part 2 of Final Fantasy VIII. There's not much news this week that I saw.
No, Xbox had their little event, and they released a couple trailers for things coming up. It looks like it looks like a Fable reboot. It doesn't look like another sequel or anything like that. Because as much as I love number 3 in that series, a lot of people shat on it. Like they didn't like everyone seems to love number 2. And number 3, their numbers dropped, and then the mobile game just absolutely didn't survive. It lasted for maybe like a year and a half.
I didn't even know there was a mobile game.
Yeah, they see that's how much Fable dropped off as a franchise by that time. But I love the Fable series, so this will be cool to check out. This will be cool
absolutely.
to check out. And then with the no exclusives, it's going to be PC probably at launch with the Xbox version. So it'll be it'll be something to pick up and get because it looks just like a straight up reboot of the Fable franchise. It doesn't look like it's going to be like a remaster or a remake or a sequel or prequel to the series. It looks like they're just starting over.
I can't blame them though.
Yeah.
Like the way the old series was it was really good, and I'm currently playing through the original Fable just in my own free time and having a blast with it, and they're really fun. But Peter Molyneux, the guy behind Lionhead Studios or something, he worked. I know he had a lot to do with Fable.
Mm-hmm.
Was so bad about overpromising things that it got to the point that it was ridiculous. Like, I remember, I offer anyone to go check out the Factory Sealed Retro Gaming Podcast. They have an episode on Fable, and throughout the entire episode, Eric just randomly is chiming in with, "You were promised," and he names off like this massive list of things that were promised to be in Fable but didn't happen. Like the acorn thing. That's always the one people go to. They said that if an acorn falls from a tree, eventually, wherever that acorn lands, another tree will grow. And that shit just wasn't possible for the Xbox and stuff back then.
Yeah.
Maybe on PC, but even that I think was pushing it at the time. Nowadays, they might be able to pull something along those lines off. So with a series reboot and just starting from scratch, I have a feeling that this could either be just what Fable needs, or this is going to be the final nail in the coffin of the Fable series.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see. Like they must have some sort of faith in it to put it in their little mini event that they held, and advertising it for like the next console. Like,
yeah, and then the other game that really stood out to me, I think it was called Avowed.
Yeah,
I believe was the name of it, and it's the new Obsidian RPG. We just covered the Outer Worlds.
Yeah.
Which everyone said was Obsidian's Fallout, and now they're like, oh well, this new game is just Obsidian's Elder Scrolls.
Yeah, pretty much. Like when I saw the sword and the magic, and I was like, this is Elder Scrolls. Like
they didn't show much, but I really like Obsidian, so I'm all for it. I'm looking forward to giving it a shot. Whenever it comes out, I don't know if there was a release date. I was too
I didn't really see any release dates. I don't think they were just like teasers almost. Like, look what we have coming.
Yeah. I know.
With this whole shutdown and everything, it's really hard to get an actual release date for like anything anymore. Whether it's movies, TV shows, video games, album releases, it's all play by ear at this point.
And, real quick before I mention something that I would like to, on that point, to hold that thought, I want to thank our buddy Dustin, who listens to the show, for pointing out to me that on the post that I shared about Fable, I was like, oh, I hope this comes to PC one day. And he's like, bro, it says Windows right there next to Xbox.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, see, I shared that when I had gotten up and hadn't put my glasses on yet. And
what is that?
Gets me all the time.
The Occam's razor, oftentimes the most simplest thing is overlooked. Like,
yeah. I don't know that's I've never heard that before, but that's very, very true.
Yeah.
Very true. Okay, so speaking of not knowing release dates and everything, there's still no release date, but there was an announcement that Final Fantasy Remake Part 2 is now in full production.
Yeah, they're in full production. It'll probably get dropped next year.
2023, I bet. Or 2022. I bet it's not going to be 2021.
It'll probably be, or if they really crank it out and hire the right amount of people to do it, they will get it dropped for the Black Friday sales of 2021. Because they have to, especially if they're going with a lower console price on the PS5, they're going to have to recoup that money somehow. And how are they going to do that? By dropping a game that everyone is going to fucking buy. Like,
I can't argue that. Now, man, okay, so quick question before we get into the game. How do you feel about exclusivities? I don't know if we've covered this before. We may have. Like, do you like exclusivities? Like, is that something that like makes you lean more towards buying one console or another console, or do you kind of just hope that games come out for any of them, and that way you can kind of be like, well, I like this brand, so I can still play games that I want to play on this brand?
I like titles that, like, if they're done by a studio that is used to doing games for the different platforms and the different consoles and everything like that, and know how to tweak it so that they run specifically on like the hardware that is used in those different consoles and stuff like that, I have no problem with it. But I do like exclusivities as well, like Gran Turismo on the PlayStation versus Forza on the Xbox. Both driving simulators, but they both play completely different, and they're both awesome in their own right.
And they both have their own fan bases that are wildly rabid.
Yeah. And then, like, I think Final Fantasy was great as just like that Sony exclusive, starting from 7 on the PlayStation 1 and up. And then when they did the cross-platform thing, it kind of fucked it up for me. Like, I picked it up on the Xbox and gave it a whirl when I had that, and it just didn't feel right playing Final Fantasy on an Xbox. I didn't enjoy it. That would be like playing Halo on a PlayStation. Like,
I could get that. If you want to play Halo on a PlayStation, just play Destiny.
Yeah. Yeah. But it's like, I don't mind the exclusivities. Like, it gives you a reason to own more than one console, but not every game release has to be an exclusive. The studios really need to, like, if they're going to do the exclusives, they need to be really picky with what titles they are going to do and make sure that those titles are worth getting the console for.
Oh yeah, and honestly, in the past few, I don't know, 5 years or so, it's been all about Sony for me.
Yeah.
Xbox has not done anything that's really shocked me or surprised me.
No, and that's why I picked up the PS4 the last time I picked up a major console like that. It was like, do I want the Xbox One or do I want the PS4? I'm going to go with the PS4. Like, I know a lot of people with the Xbox, they're like, oh, get the Xbox. And it's like, no, I feel more comfortable with the PlayStation, and I like some of the games better. Like,
I can't name one Xbox One exclusive game right off the top of my head, but I can name a bunch for PlayStation. You had like Spider-Man, you had Horizon Zero Dawn.
Yeah.
Both of those games, those are the only ones you need. Those two games were console-defining games.
Yeah.
And they both came out for PlayStation. Yeah. But the reason I was asking is because this whole situation where Xbox is no longer going to do like exclusives for Xbox. If they're going to release it for Xbox One and then their new Xbox Series X or whatever and PC and things like that.
Yeah.
But then other games...
I would say it wouldn't be like console exclusive at that point, but as much as it would just be like Microsoft exclusive. They really don't care if Sony wants to pick up the title and publish it for the PS4, the PS5, or if Nintendo wants to pick it up for the Switch. They just like, all right, we want to get this out on the Xbox One, we want to get this out on the Xbox X, and we want to get this out for Microsoft PC gaming. Like, let's hit as many markets as we can. Because from what I've been reading is these major console companies, Sony, Microsoft, they don't even see a console war going anymore. They don't view each other as competition. They're like, we both have our own niche followings and our niche fan groups, and we know true gamers are going to buy every console whatsoever. So we see no point in trying to hurt your business. We see no point in trying to buy up as many exclusive titles as possible. Like, they just want to tap as much market as possible now.
Yeah. I'm just, the way I look at it is like, that's really cool. I've always been an Xbox kind of hater since I got a 360 and that thing red ringed on me after a year. But I am really looking forward to the way that they're going to be doing their things going forward, because if they do have, Microsoft exclusive games, then at least we'll be able to play them on PC.
Yeah.
I don't have to buy a console. That's sweet. Yeah. Now, there are some PlayStation games that are out even like right now that I'm hoping eventually, once like the year or 2 year contract, whatever it is up, get released up otherwhere, in like Ghost of Tsushima.
Yeah.
I want that game really bad, but I don't have a PS4 Pro, so I don't want to even try to play it.
Oh, I think I'm out of the PS. I don't have the Pro either, so I guess I'd be fucked out of that game too. And that's one I really want to pick up. Like, and I mean, it looks gorgeous from what I've seen.
You can still play it on there. It's just not going to look exactly like it should, because the game's made for the Pro. But whatever. But like, being able to play that on PC would be sweet. Now, yeah.
I think it would just look awesome thrown up on my projector anyway. Like, no matter what resolution it was.
Oh yeah, dude, you would take up the whole wall. That would be sweet.
Yeah.
I do have a caveat with this Xbox thing, and it's like, as long as they release their games on Steam or GOG or whatever, I don't even care if they release it on Epic. I know everybody's got a problem with the Epic Games Launcher, like, whatever. If Xbox starts releasing their games only on the Microsoft Store, I am going to be absolutely pissed.
Yeah.
Which leads me to the fact that I had downloaded the 70 gigs or whatever for Phantasy Star Online 2 from the Microsoft Store, knowing that there's this active bug that if you restart your computer, it deletes everything. So I logged out of Phantasy Star. I went to log back in. It wouldn't let me log in. I was like, what the hell? Tried to uninstall it and delete it. Wouldn't uninstall and delete. So I'm like, well, this is weird. So I restarted my computer, and it was all gone.
Oh, man.
So I'm like, all right, well, this is going to come out on Steam in August. I'm just going to wait until then.
Yeah. With the way the technology is upgrading every year and everything like that, I think we will get to the point where Microsoft doesn't even worry about producing like an Xbox console. And what they'll do is they'll just turn their whole gaming division into like the Xbox brand and build a console, say like the Series X coming out or whatever. And then instead of that just being a standalone console, that's a gaming tower specifically built for like PC gaming, but it's still called the Xbox. Like, if my laptop with the Microsoft 10 stock software or whatever, you click on the gaming's tab, it's Xbox. They call it the Xbox tab, the Xbox file.
The beta of Xbox
like,
store.
I could see like the next generation of console not even be like a true console. It's just going to be like, hey, here is this new Microsoft like gaming tower that we are calling the Xbox whatever, and it's going to have like all the top of the line shit, but it's going to play like PC games. It's everything's going to be done PC. Like,
I mean, that's pretty much how it is now, except they just make it a console interface. And I mean, even if they were restricted to where, like, say you couldn't go on the internet browser on it, like, big whoop-de-doo. It's like if you're using that for fucking gaming and stuff, it is what it is. But if you can still get on YouTube through apps and things like that, it would just make it easier for people not to be able to hack them. Yeah. Which, I'm not necessarily against that, but I'm not necessarily for that. Yeah. I think once a system is past its prime and no longer being supported by the companies, dude, if you want to hack it and load that bitch with every Super Nintendo game that's ever been created, go for it. Yeah. But hacking something that's
Well, it's like the Super Nintendo Classic and like the Sega Classic.
That's a little different.
Yeah, but they knew that people were going to mess with that thing like right from the release, so they like purposely left so much empty space on there so that people can mod it. Like they're pretty much just like, here, what can you do with this? Like
hey, we're selling you a really cheap version of a Raspberry Pi, so just do what you want with it.
Yeah,
and it didn't take people very long to crack that thing open.
It did
not. Now there's even there's mods now that like you can get pieces and attach to it. And where your HDMI plugs in, there's like a little piece, and it has a USB stick that you can keep gigs and gigs worth of games on it, and it's wild.
Yeah,
it's wild how they come with that. Yeah, that was one of the first things I did when I got mine. I think my Super Nintendo Mini, for the people on video, it's this thing right here, has about 190 games on it or so.
Oh, I thought it was a lot more than that because I know we spent we spent like almost an hour just going through the entire library you had on there.
Yeah, it might have been even more because I've added a bunch of original Nintendo games, which are.
Didn't you have more than just that too? You had like the NES, the Super Nintendo. Didn't you have some Sega titles on there as well? Because the Sega had essentially the same controller.
Yeah. Some of the Sega games are a little bit of a bitch because I think the Genesis controller had
it had
one or two more buttons. Yeah.
Yeah.
But. Yeah, some of the games you could get through pretty easily, like the RPGs and stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, I've got Sega game. I have Sega Master System games on there, which my Master System's back behind me on this corner. It's got all kinds of stuff on there, and those games are so small, size wise.
Yeah.
That it doesn't matter. Like you can just load it up.
Yeah.
I think the biggest Super Nintendo game that I've found was Star Ocean, and I think it's like 6 megabytes.
Yeah.
Which was massive back then.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I was just curious how you felt about all that, and then we got off on the tangent on hacking. So, well, let's go ahead and jump back into Final Fantasy VIII. I believe we left off where you guys are at I'll call it a crossroads, and they're all standing around, and Irvine is telling you guys that the missiles are being aimed at Trevia Garden and Balam Garden.
Yeah.
And some missiles fire off in the distance. And he says, I heard they were shooting for Trevia first. And Sophie kind of drops to her knees. Everybody makes you go talk to Sophie. She is immediately like, I have to get revenge. We need to go to the missile command center and see if we can't divert these missiles coming towards Balam. Because if I couldn't save Trevia, at least we can try to save the other garden.
Yeah.
So you end up devising a team. Who did you use for your missile-based team?
Oh, who did I have? God. I think I took Quistis and Irvine.
It's exactly who I went with, was Selfie, Quistis, and Irvine.
Yeah.
And once you go up into the missile base, you guys are in the Galabadian soldier garb. So you can wander around and keep your cool as long as you're listening to everybody and kind of not being a douche. You can get through without being noticed for a while.
Yeah.
But eventually you need to make your way into you start fucking with controls and trying to figure out a way to divert the missiles and everything. And then you run a couple little errands for people around the missile base, and then you get found out. Or at least I got found out. Just said, screw it, let's just start fighting. So I fight my way through all the way up to the control center and have to fight the guys up there in that room. Did they give you any trouble, the soldiers? I assume not.
No.
Yeah. Take them out, and then you have to press buttons in 3 different areas of the room.
Yeah.
And
good old-fashioned RPG thing where it's not just a straightforward next encounter. They started throwing in a little more puzzles at this point of the game. Disc 2 or beginning of Disc 3 gets you really have to focus more on the environments as well as the encounters.
Oh yeah, absolutely. So you beat those guys, and you have to set a timer.
Yeah.
And you have 10 minutes, 20 minutes, 30 minutes, 40 minutes. It's like you were practicing for something with Ifrit, right?
Yeah.
and I think I chose 20 minutes on this one.
That's what I did as well.
And it's basically just giving you the time to almost leave, then turn around and have to go back for something. Or that might have already happened. I'm not really sure. It's blurry. It's like I played this 4 or 5 days ago, but I feel like I haven't played it in forever because I don't know. Yeah. So the Galabadian soldier in red that you beat, I don't think it was Biggs and Wedge again, but
I think I'm pretty sure it was Biggs and Wedge because I know you encounter them more than once in this game.
Well, that wouldn't surprise me then. So once you beat them, you run out, and he sends a giant machine after you called the Ironclad, or also known as the BGH-251F2.
Then it had to have been Biggs and Wedge because that's like their thing. You encounter them, you beat their ass, and then they send a machine after you, like the opening of the game. This would be like a cool running gag in the game. Every time you face Biggs and Wedge, you have to deal with a contraption because they're all pissy.
This thing, it didn't give me a hard time because I had already stocked up on a bunch of thunder magic, and Quetzalcoatl was already leveled up good about it because I had already hit the Cactar Island.
Oh yeah, Cactar Island.
Which, by the way, if you do not know, Cactar Island, there is a spot before you get to Ragnarok when you're in Balam Garden that you can run along the edge of this one part of the continent that's right near Cactar Island. And if you pull your menu up, it says that you're on Cactar Island. So right in this little area of the map, you can run around and exploit it and kill cactuars. And they are worth 20 AP apiece. They give you like 5 experience. They give you bullshit for experience, but 20 AP apiece.
You beef up those girlfriends, Guardian Forces.
Yes. Oh my god. So when I was looking up some information for today's show, one of the Google things was, how do I boost my girlfriend in Final Fantasy VIII? I was like, oh man, that's not what GF means in this. Come on. I just picture like a 13-year-old trying to figure out what it means, and he doesn't know what GF stands for, so he just types in girlfriend. But I will say, it brought up the answer.
Yeah. You gotta give her the limit break, then the Phoenix down, then the potion, then the limit break again.
And then break out the X potion.
Yeah.
And then it's all over. At that point, you don't want to give her any more potions because she's probably an undead.
Then you have to pull out the cottage because everything gets healed after that.
Yeah. Or a tent. Get some rest. Fuck, now I'm lost.
Yeah, the Cactar Island really helps you boost your GF without boosting your overall level.
I sat there and killed cactars until I had every ability on every one of my GFs.
The more I play this game, the more I realize this game is all about the junction system and focusing on everything else but your actual character build. Like, if you want to play this game and do it super easy, focus on everything but yourself.
Yeah.
Use the card feature. Use your GFs. Get your GFs as many experience as possible. The Cactar Island giving you more AP than experience. The lower level Squall is, the easier the encounters are because they scale to your level. But that doesn't stop from your GFs from completely overwhelming encounters later on the game if you really focus on beefing them up instead of Squall.
Yeah, and not to mention, you can get their, strength plus 60% junction stats and things like that, and you add that up, and I'm hitting for 9999 on crits. It's beautiful, and all my characters have max HP because I have the right magic junction to that, which I recommend full life.
Yeah.
Or Ultima.
The system for 8 completely took it in a different direction from all the previous Final Fantasy games with the way they used the junction system.
Oh yeah, that's why it's a black sheep for sure.
Yeah, for sure. But once you get used to the system, it's hard to not enjoy it because it does take that time and devotion to learn it. And then once you learn it, you're like, God, this is awesome, because you could fly through this game with the right junction builds, the right junction setups. Like,
oh, totally, dude. If you can manage to have like one character with status effect junction blind, and then have another one with status effect junction silence, then it's like anytime they attack their enemies, they have a chance of inflicting blind or silence. And it's like any enemy, they're either going to hit you with magic or physical attacks. So if you blind and silence them, they are worthless.
Yeah,
and they can't.
Every character is going to has a physical or a magic. So you hit them with one of those two, they're done. They're done. Like,
it's just like when we were talking about Diablos. If you blind Diablos, he almost can't kill you unless he gets a lucky shot, because none of his magic can take you down to 0 HP.
Yep, the demi stops at 1 HP.
Yeah, and so does his gravitas or whatever.
The gravitas, yeah.
Yeah, that that is the same way. It takes you for a percentage of your HP. So, anyways, this ironclad boss that you're fighting outside of the Galabadian missile, it looks like a big tank with 6 giant pillars on it, or something. And as you fight it, those slowly blow up. I'm assuming those are like their engines or wind turbines or something.
Yeah, I think it's the engine, like the main power of it itself.
So you destroy it, or so you think. And if you did everything right inside of the missile base, the missiles will go off and everyone's all sad. And the self-destruction thing happens at the base, and you think that the party that you sent died.
Yeah.
And, so real quick, this is for me and you. This reference guide that I have pulled up, the picture in it is the party that they had in the Galabadia base is Selfie, Irvine, and Quistis. So apparently that's a popular choice to send.
Yeah. Yeah.
So after that, you then revert over to Squall and company. And you go, and they, at the same time this Galabadia missile crisis thing is going on, and you guys are taking care of that. This is also happening, coinciding with that. So then you take over as Squall and company, and you go back to Balam Garden.
Yeah.
And there is chaos going on, and one of the garden guys in their little monk robes and Raiden hats comes up to you, and he says, "Whose side are you on? The headmaster or the garden master?" And Squall was like, "What the fuck are you talking about?" And he's like, and the guy's just like, "You're not one of the Norg supporters. Die!" And you fight, and then Squall, you beat this battle, and Squall was still like, "What the fuck is going on?" So somebody finally explains to you that the garden master is rebelling against the headmaster or something along those lines.
Yeah.
And if you maintain, you have to maintain, for the best rewards, you maintain your loyalty to Sid.
Yeah.
So every time that they're coming at you and asking, don't lie, just be like, "No, I support Sid, fuck off." And you will get the best rewards out of it. Now, they will attack you every time. If you refuse to swear allegiance to Norg, who you find out is Master Norg, is the guy who runs the garden, or funds, sorry, not runs it, but funds it. But you have to run around and save seed candidates everywhere.
Yeah.
And you kind of inspire them to keep helping and fighting and all that. They might give you a little item to help you out.
You can pick up quite a few items while you're in here. I don't think any of them are super rare or super strong items, but there's some good ones. I think you can grab like a tent or two from a couple people. There's a couple potions, I think, floating around from certain people. Right.
Well, so you eventually make your way to search for the headmaster, running around on the first floor, and you run and you see Zhu running up the steps to the elevator. So then, like, you chase after her and go up, and you start talking to Sid. That apparently they said that he was hiding, but really he was been in his office the whole time. He never moved.
He's like, "Wait, there's something going on."
So you try to talk to him, and he like collapses because he's so stressed out and everything. So he tells you that you need to go talk to Norg.
Mm-hmm.
So you open the hatch and you head down there, and you end up fighting these like weird. They're called oil boils.
Yeah.
And they're strange, man. But they're really easy if you have some fire magic.
Yeah.
Light them up, literally.
Yeah.
Literally.
And if you aren't drawing fire magic, you're not using draw, right?
Yeah. So you run up to go check on, everybody else after the fight with the oil boils, and you talk to Sid, and you offer to go check on the others and everything. You run up to the deck, and then you return to the headmaster's office, and he's not there. You meet a garden faculty member near the directory that tells you to take the elevator down to the basement, and you head down that way, and you talk to Sid, who is down there getting screamed at. And this is where you're introduced to Norg, who is like this massive shumi.
Yeah.
And the dude is super greedy, and there's a thing with the shumi that they don't reveal their hands, because like their hands are are sacred because you work with your hands and all that stuff. So like they don't really show you their hands a lot.
Mm-hmm.
If you notice, Norg is constantly waving his hands and stuff at you. Like he doesn't give a shit because he's all about money.
Yeah.
So you end up fighting this guy, and he's not so hard. I think he had like 12,000 HP or so when I scanned him.
Yeah.
He wasn't so bad. But I will say, I forgot to draw Leviathan from this motherfucker.
Yep, there's another one of these GFs that you can miss by not using the draw feature of this game.
Yep. And I missed Leviathan, which I think I'll have another chance to get him in Ultimasius Castle, but I could be wrong. Other than that, though, at this point, I have all the GFs. Well, at the point I'm at in the game, not at this point in the game, but...
Yeah, same.
So
where I'm at, it's about... I think I've picked up every single one. I don't think I've missed one yet.
Yeah, I was happy when I remembered to get Doom Train.
Yeah.
Which that motherfucker is not easy to get.
No.
So, Norg, I remember him. I think he was weak to wind. So, like, you just, like, hit him with Pandemona.
Yeah.
And some arrow magic, and you'll be fine. But listeners, please do not forget to draw Leviathan, because then you will feel like an idiot like me. After you beat him, there is a draw point up on his little carriage-like thing.
Mm-hmm.
I don't even know what to call it. It's like a ship or like I don't know, a throne. But you can draw some magic from it. I don't remember exactly.
Yeah, it's from the pod, and it's bio.
Is it bio? Okay,
yeah.
I could not remember. I'm like, what is it? After that, you head to the infirmary and you tell Katawaki that you need to see Sid, and she's like, no, you can't see him right now, and he's basically like, no, it's okay. I think I'm done crying. they can come in.
She's like, you two need to take it easy when you're training. And Squall's like, my forehead hurts.
So, you basically, I think this is where he tells you that the sorceress is his wife.
Yeah.
And that he had taken on Norg to help fund the garden, but soon realized that his greed was, far more than what he had wanted or needed for this project. Anyways, now you got to go find Elone.
Yep.
And I believe she was in the library?
Yep, she's in the library.
And she starts talking to Squall like she knows him, and he's like, I know you from somewhere, but like, where the fuck do I know you? And I believe that's when she starts kind of foreshadowing parts of the plot.
Yeah.
Gosh, I'm trying to remember after that. I believe you headed to... Yeah, that's right. This is where you head to Fisherman's Horizon.
Yep, this is where the side quests really start picking up.
And this is one of my favorite towns in the whole game. I love Fisherman's Horizon. It's so chill.
Yeah, it is. This part of the game is meant to give you kind of like a break from this storyline. It lets you do some grinding to either level up your GFs, level up your characters, or start stockpiling on cards if that's what you're in for. Like,
Totally.
There's so many side quests available from Fisherman's Horizon.
Did you do the Master Fisherman quest?
No, I did not.
No. I went ahead and did it. I hadn't done it before. I thought it was pretty interesting. You didn't get too much from it, but it was still pretty cool.
No, but I think once you're down there and stuff, if you're really into the cards and stuff, you can pick up the Quetzalcoatl card from Fisherman's Horizon.
Yeah, you get that from Mayor Dobie. That's how I got it.
Mm-hmm.
I do know that you head to the, I think it's the residential area and the station yard, and you see where the mayor, first and foremost, you get invited to the mayor's house.
Yeah.
And the mayor's like, "Why are you here?" You're like, we kind of just lost control of our garden." And they're like, "Well, we're going to help you fix it so you guys can fuck off because you guys are violent. We don't do violence here, and you promote violence. And if you're here, that means violence is going to follow you here." And Squall's like, all right, yeah, we're trying to fuck off as fast as possible, so if you could help us, that would be great.
Like, you guys need to fuck off. Well, we want to fuck off, but we need your help. Like,
yeah, we would like to fuck off as fast as possible, you hillbilly. Now help us get the fuck out of here. And so they go and start helping you work on the ship and everything. God,
but we're just simple fishermen. We don't like the violence that you all bring with you, and it's we'll help you get out of here. It's like,
now Skeeter, he ain't hurting nobody. Oh my.
Yeah.
So, he's like, of course. Then Galabadia shows up, and they're looking for you guys. And the mayor's like, "I fucking knew it. I knew that violence would come if you fucking stayed.
There's treachery afoot. You didn't fuck off fast enough." Like,
I told you should have already fuck off a week ago. So you're like,
I really love this part of the game. I really love Fisherman's Horizon. Like,
the old man's like, "I'm gonna go have a strong talking to them." It's Squall's like, "Oh fuck, he's gonna get killed."
Yes.
So you guys end up having to take off and go help him. And you're like, he's talking to this Galabadian soldier who just like knocks his ass down to the ground, of course. So you have a choice whether to intervene or keep watching. I'm like, well, I can't watch this old man get beat up, so I intervene. And the soldiers are weak. Like, you take down the soldiers, no problem. But then, like, out of the fucking grave, like Frankenstein being raised by a lightning bolt, here comes the fucking ironclad thing again that you destroyed as selfie.
Yeah, the BGH-251F2.
Yeah, it comes just crawling out of nowhere and jumps down. Thing looks beat to shit. You're just like, what the fuck? And it's like, and it goes into the battle again.
It's like, I told you to fuck off.
Why is this thing here? So it doesn't take long. Like, the thing's already beat to hell. Like, you destroy
yes.
You destroy it. And it goes falling off the side of the cliff. And then just, like, miraculously climbing up the cliff is Quistis, Irvine, and Selfie. Like, hi, we're back. And I'm just like, holy hell. And Squall's just like, glad you guys are okay. And they're like, you care.
Yeah, Squall is finally starting to show some sort of emotion.
They are quick to call him out on it too.
Yeah.
Like, anytime Squall says anything nice, they're like, Squall, are you feeling all right? Are you okay?
So who the fuck is this guy? Like, what status effect is he under?
And I think after that point, you kind of just run back and you kind of get the garden together and stuff. And this is where they do the musical performance thing.
Yes, you could do the musical performance here.
And there is, like, certain ways that you need to set this up because apparently it's just like,
you
get
can
a rating
do
for
a
it.
slow song or a fast song depending on which instruments you pick for the party.
And I looked this up just because I wanted to know, and I did the Irish jig, which I believe was like the guitar, the flute, the tap,
and the violin.
Yeah.
Yep.
I did those, and I don't know what it really affects other than dialogue, because I know if the song is bad, like, not only do you have to listen to it throughout the whole next, like, half an hour cutscene.
It's just a little mini thing in there. I don't think it actually has anything to do with the storyline. It's just some random shit for you to fucking kill more time and.
But if you fuck up, it sounds horrible, and you have to listen to it. Like, it's like they make you live with your mistake.
Yeah.
But basically, this whole part is set up for Squall and Renoa to have like this romantic moment on this fisherman's horizon. It looks like it reminds me of the scene in Cable Guy when Jim Carrey takes that dude up to the giant
the dish
satellite, and they lay on it. Like, that's what the thing that they're standing on reminds me of. It's a giant satellite looking thing. So Renault is basically like, we know that you're the leader now. Like, Sid made you the leader.
Yeah.
You have to take on a lot of responsibility, and we know you, Squall, and you're going to try to do this all yourself, and it's going to drive you up a fucking wall, and it's going to kill you. And Renault is like, you have to be able to open up to your friends because we love you. And Squall's like,
you don't know me.
Off.
Yeah. Fuck off. So let me die. Like,
in fact, I have the quote pulled up right here. Renault says to him, "We all love you. There, I said it. But please don't freak out. We just want to live through this time with you together." And then Squall, I think, just like gives a bunch of ellipses and is like, whatever.
That sounds about right.
So there's two possible outcomes for this part, and there's either it ends friendly or they end up fighting. I got the friendly side.
Yeah, same.
Because, I was trying to pick the good answers. I'm trying to make Squall not such a douchebag in my playthrough.
Yeah.
So, I believe this is where you head back to Balam.
Yeah, this is when you could start doing some more side quests.
Yes. This is where
you can pick up
did the Cactar stuff.
You can do Cactar Island. You can do the Tonberry King GF. You can pick up Odin. There's a couple other ones. I think Chocobo Forest, I think, is...
I've done one of those. Those are fucking annoying as shit to me.
Yeah, they are.
I did do the Shumi Village, though.
Yeah, and then there's some good cards you can pick up at this point, too. The Leviathan card, the Carbuncle card, the Gilgamesh card, and the Renoa card are all available at this point.
Nice. I believe you get the Gilgamesh card from Quistis, right? I think so. I think so. She's the head of the CC group.
Yeah. If you've been doing the CC side quests, yeah.
Yeah, which I knocked all those out in quote-unquote Disc 2.
Yeah.
Just because I was fucking around. So, at this point you find out that, well, everybody's like, we need to go check on Balam.
Yeah.
Because the missiles had dodged it and all of that when you guys had gotten in the garden and got it mobile and got away from... I guess, the missiles coming in, because now there's like a giant crater where
there's the crater. Yeah.
So you go back to Balam, and there's a Galabadia's garden is outside of it. So you run in there, and it's the little town is taken over.
Yeah.
So at that point, you have to find. I think you either. Yeah, you tell the guard at the front gate that he won't let you in. Zell was like, "Motherfucker, my mom is in there. I will beat the shit out of you."
Zell, if you didn't pick it up early in the game, Zell is from Balam. And this is the point where you encounter his mom.
Yeah, and every time, if you've been in his house before, which I think you ran in there once or twice earlier in the game, every time you try to run up in his room, he's like, "Yo, that's my bedroom. It's sacred. You can't go in there."
Stay out of my room.
I told you not to bother me while I'm cleaning my room. So you go
He's probably got some like kawaii shit hanging up all over the walls, despite him like super flexing every time he gets angry. he reminds me of a Gretzko, the little red panda anime that does the death metal to take out her frustration.
That show is awesome.
Yeah, that's who Zell reminds me of. Like that would totally be Zell. He's all super happy and gung ho, but once he needs to take out his aggression, he just turns like ultra violent.
So, at this point, like I said, Zell's flipping the fuck out.
Yeah.
Squall's like, "Hey, listen, we have information on Ellen, so let us the fuck in, and we'll talk to your commander." And the guy's like, you have no. Oh shit. Yeah. Come on in, but we're gonna keep an eye on you. So, you guys go wandering in, and you go to try to talk to this commander, and she wants you to, or the guards outside are like, "We need you to go find the general." Or whatever they called him. And if you haven't figured it out by now, you will in a few minutes when you're doing this quest, that these commanders and generals, you already know who they are. So, in order to find the general, you have to run around and talk to all these different people. There's somebody you can buy a tip from, tells you where he likes to take a nap and all this stuff. But really, all you need to do is run to this one screen and talk to a dog. And then follow the dog.
The dog that you save, I think, at the beginning of the game.
Yeah, I believe so.
It's that one, yeah.
And
I figured that out pretty quick in my early playthroughs of this game. Instead of running around and just talking, I was like, "Oh, look, it's the dog!" And I ran up to the dog, and the dog just led me there. So
yeah, he takes off and starts fucking with the general, who comes running out, and you see it is Rajan.
Yeah, you're coming up on the Fujin and Rajan battle. And this is another one where you could miss a girlfriend, a guardian force, for for not using draw. Which one is it? Is it Fujin, right? Fujin has Pandemona.
Yeah. And yeah, I didn't forget that one. That one was ingrained in my brain.
Yeah. And it's like, if you haven't figured it out by listening to these episodes yet, draw is super important. You should have draw on all of your characters, and that should be like your first turn in battle every battle. And
I almost want to recommend don't use the cheat to give you max magic, because you will forget to draw.
Yeah, you will forget the draw.
So you fight Rajan outside by himself, and you got to kick his ass, and he's not that hard. I think I two-shotted him.
Yeah.
And then he runs inside, and Fujin is like... Okay, so I don't know if we've explained this yet, but Rajan says, after everything he says. He's just like, "Hey, Squall, like, Cypher's real mad, but, like, we got to follow him, We're his only friends, And then Fujin speaks in one word very loudly. I just picture her screaming. Like that one where she says, "Rage!"
Yeah.
It's like that. I just picture her just yelling. So you go in, you kick both their asses, you draw Pandemona.
Yeah, Pandemona from Fujin. There is a little trick from Fujin that you have to be careful of, and it's the move Sigh. Did that move fuck you up at all when fighting?
No, she never got a chance to cast it.
Oh, she used it on me quite a bit, and I don't know if you've ever encountered it before, but Sigh automatically reduces your HP down to 1.
Ooh.
Yeah. So, lots of healing once she starts throwing out that Sigh. Like,
oh, I bet.
Yeah. It sounded like you had an easier time with Fujin than I did, because it started off with that real quick, right off the bat. Just
I drew Pandemona and then just destroyed them.
Yeah.
From there, you head to Trabia Garden.
Mm-hmm.
And, I feel like we're blitzing through this part of the game a little more, but it's like stuff starts happening really quickly.
Yeah.
It's like the beginning of this game has a lot of lead up and kind of us talking about the card and stuff, but once it starts hitting, this game hits really quickly.
Yeah, for sure. The disc 1 and like halfway through disc 2, 3/4 of the way through disc 2, it's a drag. It's a slow build up. But once you hit that point, like the missiles or even Fisherman's Horizon is where I usually say this is like the true halfway point of the game. Yeah, from this point on, it's a fast downhill. Everything moves so much faster now as far as storyline. It's from one mission next to the next. Like, they gave you your chance to fuck around with the side quests in disc 2, and then after that they're like, okay, you got no more time for that. Like,
so this is where you guys and this is where you're about to get hit with like the real plot of the game.
Yep.
You are asked by Selphie to go to Trabia now that the garden is mobile, and you guys have solved the issue in Balam. You take off to go up to Trabia, which is up in the north in the wintry mountains. So you make your way up that direction, and this is where I recommend that most people stop by the Shumi village instead of doing what I did, which was like hours ago in the game, flying all the way up there and just finding it. And you get there and Selphie's like, fuck, the missiles hit it directly. So she climbs this fence and goes running inside. Squall kind of lets her go ahead, and then you take over as him and you climb up after her. And everybody's like, where'd Selphie go? And Squall's like, I let her run the fuck ahead. Chill out.
She is a strong, independent woman who doesn't need us to keep tabs on her 24/7. Let her do her thing.
Hell yes. Z-Snap. Now, so you go running up and you catch up to her. She's talking to one of her friends, and you find out it's her best friend. So and then you start seeing people come out. So people are still alive. They survived the attack. And she says that she's going to talk to some people to meet her at the basketball courts at the back of Trabia Garden. And at this, you can run around and talk to a few different people, and I think there's a couple draw points around.
This game makes no sense environmentally. Like, you go to the Galabadian Garden, which is obviously not in the Arctic earlier in the game. They have a fucking ice rink in their garden. And then you come up to Trabia, which is in the Arctic, and they have a fucking basketball court? Come on. Like, Trabia should be the hockey garden. Like, for real.
Yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense. It is kind of odd now that you bring that up. I've never correlated that in my own head, but that's fucking weird.
It is weird. I since my first playthrough of this game, it's always fucked with me. And it's like, how did you not put the hockey rink in the one cold climate garden? Like, why did you not do that?
I don't know. I do know that Selphie's best friend has the Selphie card. If you don't have that yet, you can play her until you win it.
Yep.
But you have to complete the whole Trabia Garden storyline thing that's going on before you can challenge her to a card game. But once you do, you can get that. So you guys go to the basketball court, and Selphie shows up, and this is where like Irvine just drops a bomb on everyone. Like, basically, hey, we all grew up together, right? Like, in a nutshell, that's what it is. It's like, yeah, we all like lived at the orphanage with Matron, which is Adia.
Yep.
And they're all like, get out of town.
Yeah, fuck off.
So they start reminiscing, and they bring like these memories, and then it's like you're like a ghostly version of Squall walking around this little area, and you see all these little kids, and Zell's like, why do I remember this? And Irvine's like, because you were there. And then little Zell comes running in, and then like there's little Cypher just tormenting Zell, of course.
Chicken wuss.
Yeah, and then there's Quistis. They called her Quisty.
Yeah.
And I believe Selfie. Like all of these, all of them were there.
All of them. Yeah.
Except Renoa.
Yep.
All of them except Renoa. And so they're like, okay, so this is why we all have this weird bond together. And they're like, why did we not remember any of this? And Irvine goes, it's because you use Guardian Force. It's because you have girlfriends. Of course you don't remember shit, you have girlfriends. The fuck, you get a girlfriend, you forget about everything that has to do with your past,
won't
present,
anybody love me?
So one of the trade-offs of using the Guardian Force and having their power is that your brain needs an area to fit that Guardian Force in, so you sacrifice memories in order to use your Guardian Force.
The more Guardian Forces you build up and the more they acquire power, the more memory they take up.
And I want to say that I think it was Eric on Factory Sealed years ago, when they did a Final Fantasy VIII episode, he goes, I had all my Guardian Forces on Squall, so that motherfucker must not remember shit.
Squall. Yes. I've thought the same thing before, and it's like, wow, if you, like, equip them all to just one, does he even remember who the hell he is anymore?
Who am I?
I am the Avatar. I have all of the forces.
Oh man,
he turns into another split personality. Instead of Squall, it's Pimp Daddy Squall because he's got all the girlfriends. Like, turns the gun blade into a cane and just got this little lean walk going.
So it all turns out to be like fate, basically, is what it wraps up to about. This is y'all's fate. So you ask Renoa to join you guys in the battle. We're going to take the battle to the sorceress. Renoa's like, of course, like I'll come with you, because at this point, if you are blind to the fact that Renoa is absolutely infatuated in love with Squall.
You there? Technical difficulties.
Oh yeah, I'm here. I can. Yeah, you froze up. Can you still hear me? Can you hear me?
What happened?
Can you hear me?
Oh man, you just completely dropped.
Can you hear me? Hold on, let me... Better?
You there, buddy?
Yeah, I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yeah, there you are. Technical difficulties.
Okay. I was like, what the fuck happened? Because all of a sudden I'm looking at you and I'm like, he hasn't moved in like a minute. Is he
no,
right?
your audio just stopped and then your screen went black. I couldn't even see you over here anymore, and I was just like, huh. After like 30 seconds, I was like, let me close the full screen to see what's going on. And you weren't even on Discord anymore. Like,
oh, that's weird.
Yeah, it was weird, and it wasn't on my side either. My connectivity was great. Like,
oh yeah, my connectivity is going between green and yellow. I'm thinking there's an issue in the area.
It's Keystone. It's probably likely. Some drunk probably hit another telephone pole.
Would not fucking surprise me. All right, so where were we at? I was talking about, if you haven't noticed in this whole shebang that Renoa is like infatuated and in love with Squall.
Yeah.
Like, and there's even what you touched on.
It was a slow burn for that, because she was first obsessed with Cypher.
Yeah.
And then, like, the more Squall fights with her, the more Renoa's like, well, I can't have him, but now I want him. Like,
classic.
Yeah.
Classic. Been there, done that.
Yeah. But it's like Quistis all over again.
Well, I was gonna say, I want to touch on that. You had brought up Quistis, and that's that she touches on that in the game when she's like, I thought that I was in love with Squall, but now I realize it was memories of a big sister-like feeling toward him when we were growing up. And she was like, and I misinterpreted that, and it's like this weird come to herself meeting that Quistis has, like talking to her.
Uh-huh.
So everyone decides that you got to go take the battle to the sorceress and everything, but they want to go see this orphanage.
Yeah.
So this is where you pilot to Idia's house. I think it was on the Sintra continent, if I'm remembering correctly.
Yes, I think you're right.
Yeah. So
Sintra there, for sure.
You head there, and there's some more cutscenes of them reminiscing, and this is where they decide, fate be damned.
Yeah.
That they've got to save the matron or defeat her. Like she created Seed to one day take the fight to her if needed, and now it's needed. So like they're doing what the matron wanted.
Mm-hmm.
And this is technically the end of disc 2.
Yeah.
Is right here. Now I'm going to ask you, I have gotten up to when they were in space.
Yeah.
Do you want to go ahead and cover that now or save that until next episode?
I'm trying to remember where the last spot I finished off.
Well, I can tell you the next part is the clash when you do the whole fight between Galabadia Garden and Balam.
Yeah. The end of disc 2 is the whole that whole like juggernaut fight, right? Where you go through Cypher, then Adia.
Yes. Yeah, and that's on this Clash of the Gardens, I do believe.
Yeah.
And I think that's the end of disc 2, or it might have been, or it might be the beginning of disc 3. I can't remember.
Yeah. I think where I am at is the beginning of disc 3. I think the next thing I have to do is find the seed ship.
You're looking for the white seed ship?
Yeah.
Okay. If you need help finding that, by the way, I can help you find it.
No, I've tracked it down so many times before. It's no big deal.
Oh, I know. I was just making us silly because I knew you probably know more about this than me.
Let's cut this one here so that we can just wrap up the ending to this game with James next episode, because disc 3 goes pretty quick and disc 4 is really only the final battle. Like there's not much left of this game at all at this point.
Well, then let's cover this clash real quick, and then we'll cut it there, and we'll leave the rest of it. So the Clash of the Gardens is basically, as you guys are pulling up to Adia's, you see Galabadia Garden off in the distance, and you guys basically just decide to go towards it. And Galabadia Garden starts slamming into you, and jumping and boarding Balam Garden. So there's like this literal war between Galabadia and Balam Garden.
Yeah.
So you're running around.
Oh, this is when you have to yell the orders and like.
And
this is where you have to do the orders in like a specific order, right? Or else the doctor gets mad at you. Like.
So you're given a list of things that you need to say, and it says like don't choose too many or don't choose too little. So if you choose too many, Zhu will be like, man, you probably overwhelmed them with information. And now if you don't touch on the right stuff, then Katawaki will be like, the fuck is wrong with you? Why didn't you tell them to save the young ones?
Yeah, I think there's only like 3 of them that you need to remember though.
Yeah, I did like 5 and got yelled at for it.
Oh, yeah. I think the ones that I always pick for are prepare for the attack, prepare our defense, and take care of the junior classmen.
Yeah, those are the right 3. But I did those 3 plus the garden's trajectory, and I think one other thing. And at this point, you're running around in there again, like after you give off, the orders and such, and you're trying to find. I think this is where you split. You split, right? And this is where Renoa's with Zell and them, and they fall off. She falls off the cliff.
Yes, I think so.
So Renoa is just like hanging off this cliff, and as Zell, you have to like run around and go find Squall near the front gate, and be like, "Oh fuck, what are we gonna do? Renault's gonna die."
Yeah.
And Zell's like, "There's nothing I can do to get to her. Like I tried, but there's nothing." So Squall's like, "Well, sucks for her." And they're all like, "What the fuck are you talking about? Sucks for her? You're like, you need to go save her, motherfucker. She loves you. You need to go save her." So Squall ends up heading up. I want to say it's like the second floor, and that's right, because then the girl on the second floor, before you can go try to figure out anything with Renoa, the girl on the second floor is like, "Help me find. There's a missing junior classman. I need you to help me find him." So you go run to the far end of the second hall, and talk to the little kid, and the little kid's like, "Oh yeah, okay, I'll go run back, thank you." And at this point, there is this paratrooper thing that comes bursting in through the wall, and slams Squall up against this door. And you have a choice of to like try to run or try to attack it, or look for another choice. So you click look for another choice, because basically if you try to run away or you try to threaten the enemy or anything, it just hits you and takes your HP down more. And at this point, this is like a mini game, so you have this little mini game health bar. So when you look around for another option, you can release the door behind you, and then he goes to try to hit you against the door again, and y'all go tumbling out.
Did you get the fourth option doing that?
No.
There's a fourth option. If you keep hitting the look for another option enough, you get a fourth option, which turns into threaten the enemy.
Oh, interesting. No, I didn't use that one. So you guys you're hanging from this paratrooper suit with this Galabadian soldier, and you guys are just like punching each other. And it's basically who is going to win this punch off first. And this took me like 6 tries. I don't know why.
Yeah.
I eventually just started just punching him until he died. Like I was trying to punch, then block, and then kick, and it was like, no, you just need to punch him.
Yeah, there's if you block a lot and start timing the blocks and stuff right, you will get presented with the option to use what is called Death Blow on him, and it deals some pretty fucking sweet damage.
Yeah, see, I never got the chance to use Death Blow. That's what I was going for.
I knew about that from previous playthroughs before, so I just block, wait for the Death Blow, and then once I hit that, then I just switch to Punch, because most of his HP's already gone.
So at that point, you bust into... You knock the dude off, and you're flying around on the paratrooper armor. And you go and you save Renoa. And you guys land, and she thanks you, and you guys have like another romantic moment between the two of you. And then you run into Galabadia Garden. And at this point, you got to run around and find key cards.
Yeah.
So you have to save. I think you find like a male student trying to hide, and the student's like, "Yo, the army came in here and took this bitch over. Like, we got nothing to do with this. We apologize. You know what? In fact, here's my key card. You can now go into areas you couldn't access before."
Do you know where the first one is?
It's in a dorm, right?
It's in the fucking hockey goal.
Nice.
Key
nice.
card.
Oh no, that's key card 2.
Are you sure?
That's key card. Yeah, because the first one is in the guy in the dorm room, and then you head to the gym, and the guy near the hockey rink is just like.
It must just be the hockey rink for me. That's like the only one I can always remember. Like,
I know there's also a draw point in the hockey goal itself.
Yeah, there is.
I don't remember what spell it is. It might be like Blizzara or something. But
God, why don't I not remember it either? But yeah.
But fun fact: if you run around on the hockey rink, you can get into a fight with monsters that are in hockey gear.
Yes.
And it's pretty awesome. They're all 00s, but like they're straight up. They got pads, they got the jerseys, they got hockey sticks as weapons.
Yeah, and fucking
like
goons
fighting those demons from Dogma.
Yeah.
So once you gather all 3 of the card keys, you run back to the center of the room, and suddenly, and there's a big glowing light that's been in the middle of Galabadia Garden, and it's got a draw point for, I believe, haste in the middle of it. And then you come running back in, and there's a giant creature standing there.
Yeah.
You're like, what the fuck is this? So you run up and fight it, and boom, it's Cerberus, which is another Guardian Force. But this one, you only have to beat him, and then he'll join you.
Yeah, this girlfriend's not too bad.
No. She's got 3 heads, so that could come in handy. Not very hard though. Like took it down.
Yeah.
It does have some good magic to draw from it. Quake and
good,
triple.
Good magic. You get the Cerberus card from beating Cerberus as well. So if you've been working on the card quests, this is like an easy one. You don't have to track down the Cerberus card. You get rewarded with it.
And that brings us to the final battle of Disc 2.
Yeah.
Which is Cypher and Adia.
Yeah, this, if you didn't junction everything right, or you haven't been focusing on your GFs or any, like, your magics and everything at this point, this part of this part of the game can be a little brutal. You jump from Cerberus to Cypher first.
Yeah.
And this, this being a veteran player of this game, Cypher's easy. Like,
so yeah, I think I fucked Cypher up with like 2 hits, maybe even 1. At this point, I had Lionheart for Squall.
Yeah,
I had all of their best weapons. So
yeah, it's like if you're new to this game, I would take your time grinding Disc 1 for items in particular, because if you do enough grinding and you get enough items, you can actually have the ultimate weapon Lionheart by the end of Disc 1.
Yeah, which puts you significantly far ahead for damage with Squall.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah. It's 100% doable to get most of the ultimate weapons by the end of Disc 1 if you do enough grinding.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Once you beat Cypher, he kind of falls to his knee like a little bitch.
Yeah.
And Adia's like, fuck off! And just like floats through the floor down to the auditorium below. And you're like, well, son of a bitch, I guess the auditorium's below here. We got to go there. So you got to make your way across the upper stairs in the 2nd floor of the garden, make your way around, and then head into the auditorium, where then you have to fight Cypher again.
Yep.
And then once you beat him, you have to fight Adia.
Did you use magic on them at all, or junction magic, or anything like that?
Nope.
Cypher and Adia are both weak to sleep. So if you junction sleep to your status attack, you have a good chance of putting them to sleep, and that makes significantly easy.
Selfie has sleep as her status junction, and I did not have her in my party for this.
Yeah. That's why I roll with Selfie a lot.
But don't forget, when you're fighting Adia, to draw Alexander from her.
Yeah. Yep.
It's another missable guardian force.
Yep.
Carbuncle is very helpful against Adia because she casts a lot of spells, and that reflect that he puts on you helps a lot.
Did you pick up the Royal Crown from Adia?
I was using Mug, so I assume that I got it, but I haven't checked my inventory.
Mug is like the only way you can get it from her.
Yeah, I don't even remember what that does.
Yeah. The easiest way to do it is to put her ass to sleep and then mug her. And then the crown that you steal from her, it teaches the girlfriend's magic plus 60%.
Oh, nice.
So if you already haven't learned that, it's a pretty useful item.
Okay, cool. Yeah, that if you cast magic, I will say that I do not cast magic at all in this game unless I absolutely have to.
Yeah, I very rare.
I just hoard that shit.
Yeah, for sure. I think my lineup is draw card item GF, a combination of those.
It got to the point that I had some items to teach GFs different skills, but they didn't have any room.
Yeah.
So I would use amnesia greens and forget magic, or if they had the magic plus 20% and stuff, I'd forget those. I even forgot magic junction. Fuck it, don't care. Don't need it, not going to use it. I want strength plus 60% on more than one of my GFs so I can equip it.
Yeah, no, I understand that. Most of my playthroughs, I avoid the magic aspect of this game too. If I'm feeling frisky and up for it, I'll try to do a playthrough where I focus solely just on magic. It's a little different of a styled playthrough, but...
Oh yeah, I can bet. I can bet.
But
it's like you're sacrificing your stats to do damage.
Yeah, for sure. But it's so much better of a gameplay to just forget magic exists and focus on that strength.
Dude, you have a sword with a gun built in it. Just use that. Like,
yeah.
Come on.
I have a gun blade. I'm going to do some magic.
So, we'll leave it off with this, is that you beat Adia, and she falls to the ground, and she stands up, and she's like, Squall, Quisty, Selfie, Zell, I'm so happy you're all here. And Squall was like, what the fuck? And then Renoa, like, does this weird sway walk thing over to Cypher, and then picks Cypher up and puts her head to him, and then he like gets up and walks into a portal, and then she just passes the fuck out.
Yeah.
And that's the end of disc 2.
Yep.
So we'll leave it there. Man, I'm still really enjoying this game.
I love this game. Like, even though I've played this game so many times, like, I could almost play this game just off of memory, like, not even having to pull up a walkthrough just to make sure I don't miss anything at this point.
Yeah.
And then with this having the 3x speed up version of this game, it's almost like a speed run for me at this point. Like,
I almost wonder how
not
fast
as far
I
as I'm not as far as you into this game, because having 1-year-old Remy running around takes a little bit of my time. But when I do sit down to play this game, I fucking fly through it. Like, I could probably sit down with this game and actually just like speed run this whole game, all 4 discs, in one day, if I had the time to actually do it.
I think I could do that too.
Yeah.
Just solid, just running through it, because there's never really a point in the game where you need to grind.
No, there isn't. Not unless you want to focus on those, getting those GF ultimate weapons and the GF skills. But once you hit that Fisherman's Horizon and get to Cactuar Island, the GF skills come quickly with the Cactuars. So even if you just stopped to do a couple hours of grinding on Cactuar Island, you get a lot of the stuff for your GFs right then and there.
Yeah, for sure.
And then if you really wanted to do the full speed run to see how fast you could do it, you could just throw on all the cheats. The max items, the max skill, the max level GFs.
Yeah, and then
the all items. Yeah. Just start off very beginning of disc 1 with all the items. You're a level 0 Squall with Lionheart and a fucking final limit break and everything.
Yeah.
Yeah. That would be like a true speed run. Just one hit everything all the way through the game. Like,
Totally.
Yeah, I think that one of the cheats too is you can have limit break available every round.
Yeah,
so you could,
if you hit your right thumbstick, it'll keep you at max health and keeps you at full limit break. You can just spam limit breaks.
Spam limit breaks, and you can turn on the automatic trigger so you don't have to time his sword swings, so you're just doing max blast damage every attack too.
Yeah. Now, I do want to say that this playthrough, I haven't done it yet, but now that I have Ragnarok, I'm going to. I went and got Bahamut.
Yeah.
And now I am going to beat Ultimate Weapon, because I've never beaten Ultimate Weapon. So I'm going to shoot my shot at that without using the keep yourself healed cheat. Just going to go in there with the shit that I've got.
Have fun with that.
I will. I will do my best. But, as we said, next week we're going to pretty much cover Disc 3 and then what there is of Disc 4, because Disc 4 is basically just Ultimasia's Castle and a lot of story dump.
Yeah, it's a lot of dialogue on Disc 4. There's actually not much play. It's like they almost couldn't... They ran a little long on Disc 3, so they had to throw in that random disc just to finish it off.
Yeah, pretty much. I know, so we'll probably gloss over all of that, cover some stuff in depth, other stuff, kind of leave it so that you guys don't have the entire ending of the game spoiled for you in case you wanted to go back and play it, or we might spoil it all and just give you a spoiler alert.
This game's old enough, and if you haven't picked it up yet, well, good for you, but you're getting a spoiler. Like, this game's been out long enough.
And hopefully, if all goes according to plan, we will be joined by James from the JRPG Report, and we will be talking to him about his podcast and his feel on JRPGs and how he feels about Final Fantasy VIII.
It'll probably turn into a blasphemous fight because I know he's not too big of a fan of VIII's junction system.
Yeah, it'll be interesting for sure. It'll be interesting for sure. But we welcome both sides.
Yeah, no, for sure.
If we play a game that we really like, but our listeners are like, man, that game really sucks. Like, feel free to come on Facebook and be like, hey, I hate that game, and here's why. And dude, I appreciate that kind of stuff.
I have a feeling that will happen with The Last Tinker. If anybody actually does go out of their way to find that game and play that, they're gonna probably be like, what the fuck were these dumb motherfuckers talking about? But that game was great. Pick up that game. Me Studios, if you hear this, make a fucking sequel. I want it now.
Totally. Or on the opposite side of that, we might have the people that are like, Corpse Party Blood Drive was the best fucking thing I've ever played. What the fuck is wrong with you guys? So there's always going to be differing opinions, but you're more than welcome to share them with us on our Facebook. And speaking of, go ahead.
It'll be good to have his perspective too, to just him doing the JRPG report and him being into the JRPGs. It'll be good to get that side from somebody else who's not like a casual gamer, from me and you who are just into all sorts of RPGs, not just necessarily JRPGs.
Yeah. I'm going to prepare something for him too, so we'll see how he handles it. It'll be a fun episode. It'll probably be a long episode.
These Final Fantasy VIII episodes have been long in general anyway, but this game's got a great storyline and it's got so much to actually talk about in the game.
Yeah. There's so much little stuff that you can do, little nuances and different ways to play it.
Yeah.
But speaking of social media, before I forget, because I do believe I forgot on the last episode, you can find us at facebook.com/the Steam Machine Podcast or at Twitter, or on Twitter at Steam son of a bitch. Steam _podcast. There we go.
You always do the underscore.
I do, because it's like Steam Machine _ I was like, So yeah, Steam _podcast on Twitter. And as always, we'd really appreciate it if you guys would go to iTunes and leave us a 5-star review. It really helps out with us climbing up the ranks of all of the millions and millions of gaming podcasts that are out there. And you got anything else, man?
No, I think I hear little Remy waking up, so I'm probably going to have to run and go grab him. Yeah.
All right, so for this week's Steam Machine Podcast, I'm Dalton, he's Ryan, and we have to go! Take it easy, guys.